quarter of a century after its release, Titanic continues to hold its place in the hearts of audiences around the world.
Never let go. I will never let go, Jack.
Branded a sure flop during its hectic production with an ever-bloating budget, the film ended up proving critics wrong in more ways than one.
Where to, miss?
To the stars.
This sentimental romantic film not only did well, it went on to become the highest-grossing movie of all time, and remained such for over a decade. Let's turn back the clock and take a deeper dive into what specifically helped Titanic become not just one of the most iconic movies of its decade, but of all time. This is The Total Take, where we break down the most analyzable films and TV shows of all time through visual storytelling, writing, world, symbolism, and impact. Our first category is visual storytelling. The cinematography, editing, the form or style. How do the visuals tell and elevate the story? Titanic is a visually stunning film, but the imagery isn't just there to dazzle the audience. Director James Cameron has long been known for his precise, evocative storytelling through what we see on screen. Even before Titanic, he brought the terrifying worlds of The Terminator and The Abyss to life on the big screen. A big-budget romance film might have, at the time, seemed like an odd way for Cameron to close out the 20th century. But if we look closer, we can actually see how all of the pieces came together just right to create this beloved film. The film opens not back in 1912, but in the modern day. A group of researchers and low-key treasure hunters are on the search for the heart of the ocean, a necklace with a huge diamond that was purported to have been lost with the ship. During their search, we see real-life footage from missions to the Titanic, combined with recreations using miniatures. This setup helps remind the audience that while this film and its characters might be fictitious, the Titanic and its terrible demise were very real. Cameron actually originally became interested in the Titanic in the first place because of footage he saw on the news from the team that found the wreck. I thought, my god, that's incredible. They're using the space technology to go into the past like a time machine. And it's this turning back of the clock that he was able to actually do for audiences through the magic of film. Cameron was very interested in figuring out the reality of what really happened and what the experience would have been like. He wanted viewers to really be affected by both the majesty of the ship and the horror of its ending.
What does it look like? What did it really do? And what would it have been like to be on that when it's going through all these gyrations?
Creating sets in most of the scenes in real life, as opposed to just building out everything in graphics, helped ground the film in the real world. The team built out half of our real ship, as well as a number of smaller than a ship but still huge set pieces to film on, all of which we'll get to in more detail in the world section, which makes the actors and scenes feel much more authentic than if everything had been done on a green screen.
We weren't on a soundstage. We were outside and hanging Kate over the railing, safetying harness her, and Leo pulling her up. You really felt the jeopardy.
Scenes in the public parts of the ship are all filled with people, breathing life into the entire setting, and making it really feel like you're a passenger along for the journey. The film also builds out its world visually by making clear distinctions between the first and third class passengers. We can feel the separate worlds Jack and Rose are pulled between just by looking at them, and especially by how out of place each looks when entering the world of the other. These star-crossed lovers likely never would have crossed paths were it not for the intervention of fate, and through the visuals, we can see why. Rose's world is prim and staid, essentially causing her to feel like she's trapped in a very beautiful prison. The first-class decks and rooms where Rose resides are filled with beauty and very expensive things, but none of that hides the emptiness hiding under the surface.
I saw my whole life as if I'd already lived it. I felt like I was standing at a great precipice, with no one to pull me back.
Jack's world is lively and communal, but without the security or access to opportunities. The third-class level Jack is relegated to, when not pretending to be a first-class passenger, is much more simple, but the people there are clearly filled with a degree of life and love that's missing from the upper deck. Jack knows that there's more to life than money, and expanding her view of the world helps Rose come to understand this too.
I figure life's a gift, and I don't intend on wasting it. You never know what hand you're gonna get dealt next. You learn to take life as it comes at you.
And the cinematography shows how Jack literally brings warmth into Rose's life. Before they meet, her world is cold and blue, and he literally lights up the frame. Bookending the film with scenes from the modern day serves an important narrative purpose, which we'll unpack in the next chapter, and works as a bit of a Chekhov's ship situation, but is also functional. At the beginning of the film, the researchers used graphics to, rather crudely, explain how the ship sank. This fleshes out their characters' starting points, how crass and disconnected they are from the tragedy they're trying to exploit, so that we can more clearly see how they grow through hearing Rose's story, even though they're barely on screen. But it also helps the audience understand what happened ahead of time, so that they're not confused when everything starts going haywire. When the film came out, people were generally aware that the Titanic had sunk, especially with all of the news reports about it being found only a few years prior. But most had no idea how it went down, and so without this setup at the beginning, the breaking apart of the ship and its plunge into the ocean could have taken audiences out of the film because it felt almost too wild to be true. But seeing it explained straight out at the beginning means we not only start to fear the looming threat, but we get what's happening in all of the chaos when the sinking begins. One aspect of the film's visual storytelling has, for some reason, been a point of contention for audience members for the past 25 years. That door. For years, people have complained that there was room on the door, that she could have moved over and they both could have lived. But if you actually watch the film, we can clearly see why that doesn't happen. They do both try to get on the door, and it nearly flips over, sending Rose back into the frigid water. We then see Jack look down, assess the situation, and make the decision to not try to get on again because he'd rather Rose be safe. This isn't a plot hole or bad writing, it's showing, not telling, his whole character, his willingness to put others before himself, his love for Rose and desire to see her happy.
You must promise me that you'll survive. That you won't give up.
It can be hard to figure out how to really eat healthy. Green Chef cuts through all of the noise as the trusted authority in clean eating. Every week, they give you the opportunity to choose between 40 clean, customizable recipes featuring only real farm-sourced ingredients. Green Chef helps you reach your wellness goals without the stress with their low-prep, low-mess meals that are delivered right to your door, so you don't have to worry about researching, meal planning, or grocery shopping. Green Chef's meals come in a variety of options like Mediterranean, high-fiber, plant-based, high-protein, and more, and feature certified organic produce and responsibly sourced proteins and seafood. It's also good for the planet, since Green Chef cuts food waste by 20% versus grocery shopping and offsets 100% of delivery emissions. We found Green Chef to be so helpful in our own wellness journey, as it gives us the option to eat healthy meals that also taste great and don't take forever to put together. If you're ready to start your own wellness journey, head to greenchef.com/50thetake and use code 50thetake to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50thetake at greenchef.com/50thetake. Our next category is the writing, the originality, inventiveness, and insight within the script. What is the piece's true takeaway? At its heart, the core idea of the film is that love can open you up to new possibilities, but only you can save yourself. This is a bit different from most romantic films where it's love itself that seems to save the day. But Cameron didn't want to just write a film where the heroine has her life fixed by the guy she falls in love with. As a filmmaker, he's always been unafraid of creating female characters that are able to be flawed and sometimes afraid, but also strong and able to find confidence in themselves. Jack bursts into Rose's life and awakens her to the reality that she does have other options in life.
I know what you must be thinking. Poor little rich girl. What does she know about misery?
No, it's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking was, what could have happened to this girl to make her think she had no way out?
Instead of pushing her towards a change against her will or changing things for her, he just encourages her to figure out what she wants out of life.
It's not up to you to save me, Jack.
You're right. Only you can do that.
The film even explicitly flips the damsel in distress trope. It's Jack that's chained up and in danger, and Rose who has to make the daring rescue and free him from peril. Pre-Titanic, Cameron was mostly associated with action movies, but even in those films, he wasn't afraid to dig into the emotions of his characters. So combining his love of large-scale action set pieces with a story about an intimate romance between two lost souls actually wasn't as out of left field as people at the time considered it to be. Cameron even leans into this in his writing, opening with the unemotional, only out for money research crew, and then bringing in Rose to serve as the film's emotional core.
It should be about her having fun and joy in this moment, and she doesn't care that all these guys have been doing all this stuff.
In the same way that the film itself helped audiences connect to this historic event, Rose helps the crew see the human element in what they're doing. We literally flow back in time in her memory and live there until the end of the film. It's in our memories and through telling our stories that we keep the past alive. And not just past events, but past people as well. As far as the rest of the world was concerned, Jack never really existed in any way that mattered. He didn't have money or a fancy job or family name, and so, like so many others, would have been totally lost to time. His name wouldn't even be on the ship's ledger since he won his ticket from someone else, so he didn't even get to be remembered as a victim.
We never found anything on Jack. There's no record of him at all.
No, there wouldn't be, would there?
But his memory isn't lost, because Rose has continued to hold on to him in her heart. Though they only knew each other for a few days, meeting him completely altered the course of her life, and she has never let him go.
Now you know there was a man named Jack Dawson, and that he saved me. I don't even have a picture of him. He exists now, only in my memory.
The next category we look at is world. How does the film use tone, atmosphere, performances, music, or sound design to build a particular world that's memorable, evocative, or takes us somewhere that makes us feel something? Building out the period of the film in such exquisite detail really helped hit home both the sense of wonder at the beginning of this new century and the stifling, oppressive nature that still permeated society in a major way. On the first-class decks, everyone is situated ever so neatly, near enough to be seen, but keeping just enough distance so as not to get involved with anyone. On the third-class decks, everyone is living life together, both literally due to the close quarters and emotionally. The film is full of great performances, from Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio's star-making turns, to all of the smaller characters who fill out the world and elevate the film.
Gentlemen, it has been a privilege playing with you tonight.
While it might be hard to imagine now, one big reason that the studio was worried about the film was because they thought it didn't have star power. As Cameron told Empire in an interview in 1998, not long after the release of the film, "It's a period drama, it's not a star vehicle. It's a risk, but Fox thought, we're gonna roll the dice on this." That's quite funny in hindsight, given that the pair went on to be two of the biggest stars in Hollywood, but it also highlights something important about the film. Kate and Leo were cast for their talent and chemistry, not because the studio thought they'd sell tickets on name alone. And so this is why they were able to give such great performances and mold these incredibly memorable characters.
We did click immediately right away.
Of course, we can't talk about Titanic without talking about the music. James Horner's score elevates the entire film, pulling us into the drama and tugging at our heartstrings. And he, along with Will Jennings, is also responsible for one of the other major successes to come out of the Titanic. Cameron originally didn't want any songs in the film outside of the score, but Horner was determined to get My Heart Will Go On the soundtrack. So he got in touch with Celine Dion, who initially didn't want to sing the song but was convinced to give it a shot by her husband. She knocked it out of the park in one take, and the rest is history. And then there's the ship itself. As we mentioned earlier, Cameron and the team wanted the film to feel as true to life as possible, and so that meant building out a 775-foot-long replica of the real ship.
We decided to build 80% of the actual ship to 90% scale, but only built one side of the ship complete down to the bottom.
To save a bit on cost and time, they built only one side of the ship and then flipped the image when they needed to show the other half. There are certainly plenty of visual effects used throughout the film, but the fact that most of the settings that we see really exist in the same world as the characters themselves grounds everything in reality. It also helps the terrifying chaos of the sinking feel so much more real. The team built versions of various sets that they could move around and sink into the water.
We built a big elevator system so that we could lower a 200-foot by 100-foot by multi-story high set into the water.
And so it seems like Jack and Rose are really running through a sinking ship because they pretty much are. Now let's take a look at symbolism. Does the film have a rich and original system of symbols, and can it work as a parable on multiple layers? One of the biggest symbolic threads in the film is Rose's clothing. We literally watch her becoming a new person over the course of the film as her choice of dress changes, along with her worldview and sense of self. We first see Rose as a perfectly put together beauty stepping out of a car, hidden away behind a giant hat. Her striped dress combines the darkness that surrounds her and the lightness she'll soon come to find. Her being constricted is made literal in the scene where her mother is lacing her into her corset, which weren't made to be this painful and cumbersome in real life, but here serves as a useful visual metaphor.
They've got you trapped, Rose, and you're gonna die if you don't break free.
The night she meets Jack, she's in her darkest dress in the film, a blood-red gown covered in black beads. As she spends more time with Jack and begins finding herself, her clothing becomes both lighter and more loose. We can see her taking agency over her own life.
Are you cold? What, to him? To be a whore, to a gutter rat?
I'd rather be his whore than your wife.
Her growing agency is also exemplified in the intimate scenes in the film. Jack doesn't coerce Rose into anything, or even broach the topic. She's the one that makes every forward movement in their relationship. Along with her clothes, we begin to see her take control of her literal body.
Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls.
She's also the one that initiates their sex scene, and makes the choice to take on Jack's name, a direct contrast to her nearly being forced into taking Cal's.
Dawson. Rose Dawson.
And of course, there's the heart of the ocean, the object that kicks off the whole film and the unearthing of all the memories. The necklace serves as a symbol of Rose's confinement, almost like a collar Cal puts on her to show that he owns her. In the end, the necklace is the only physical manifestation of her past life that she walks away with, aside from the clothes on her back. She doesn't pawn it for money or give it to a museum, she keeps it tucked away with her memories, until the very end when she's finally ready to fully let go of the past. And in fact, let go of the past on the stern of a ship, the same place she met Jack, bringing their story full circle. And our final category to discuss is impact. Has the piece sparked debate, thought, and conversation, and has its influence managed to stand the test of time? After overcoming its initial hurdles to become a massive box office success, Titanic has gone on to stand the test of time, bringing in new fans year after year and continually being referenced across pop culture, TV shows, and other films.
But wait a minute, isn't this... Yeah, yes it is. But I thought the old lady dropped it into the ocean in the air.
Titanic was also important because it was unafraid to make romance a central element, while also allowing the heroine to have agency. Even today, there seems to be a fear of being too sentimental, as if your movie has too many feelings, you'll scare away the audience. But Titanic's immense success and continued cultural staying power proves that that isn't the case. James Cameron and the cast and crew brought together so many intricate elements to create this lasting, deeply felt film, and it will stay in our hearts forever. That's the take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.